Hi, this is Kathy. Welcome to Craft with Kathy. Thanks for joining me this evening. I've got a really cool project that I've been looking forward to actually for a couple weeks. And finally getting to it. It's been a challenge, I have to admit. The ladder kind of traveled around the country taking the scenic route. And then I had to stain it, and of course, what do I find? I had those little wipe-on stains, and they had dried out. So then it was the battle of getting the stains and whatever. But anyway, finally got it together and good to go for tonight. So thanks for joining me. Let me know where you're viewing from. Drop me a line, say hello. Don't be shy, we're all friends here. If you have any questions as we go along, just drop them in the comments and I'm happy to answer anything. This is going to be a little bit unusual, but it is obviously using this ladder. This is a 28-inch little decorative ladder, and I'm going to be using January's Club Couture called Love to chalk on some found objects and then basically put them on this ladder. Isn't this the cutest transfer? Perfect for Valentine, but even seriously, it's great for year-round. The sentiment is evergreen, and I think it's just going to be lovely. I'm going to be using black and white, and I'm thinking maybe doing the hearts in red. I've kind of been hesitating on that, but I think I will add a little bit of red. Do the hearts in red and the lettering in white. If you have any questions about Club Couture or the VIP group or anything else, I put a comment in the first comment below. Just click on that link and it'll take you to the applicable spot to check all that out. And like I said, as we go along, if you have any questions, jump on in. So I'm going to move this little ladder. It's kind of rustic, so my staining was a little interesting. It was a little bit of a challenge, I have to admit, and I probably really should have sanded, and I didn't. I was so anxious and I forgot to sand, and it was like, duh. Anyway, so I'm going to move this on the side. It kind of goes with the rustic look though anyway, and I think the color's fine for what it is. Much better than the light unstained look before. Okay, and this is a little messy bow that I made. I did one of them. I'll do another one. Is this project progresses. God, I feel like it's Friday. Oh my goodness, it's been a rough day today. What can I say? Anyway, it's just a little messy bow, and I'll show you how I made it. I'll make another one, but I didn't want you to have to sit around waiting for me to make two of them. So let me get going. Here's the transfer. Oops, I need another squeegee. Okay, I'll get that cleaned up. Let me get my transfer onto my little fuzzing cloth. Like I said, this is January's Club Couture. Club Couture is a monthly subscription package. It's $19.99 a month. B-size transfer, which means it's 8.5 by 11 size. Comes with 3 individual paste packets. And this month's Club Couture, the colors are specifically curated to go with the transfer. This month's Club Couture was Raspberry Sorbet, Shimmer Silver, and Peony, or Peony, depending upon where in the country you live. I am not using these. I'm going to go with the red and the white to match my messy bow. So I'll just put these aside for later. So I'm going to take the transfer off of its carrier sheet. Our transfers are adhesive backed. You can see the shiny side is adhesive. There's a carrier sheet with one side that's glossy like freezer paper, the other side that's dull. And I like putting the name of my transfer on the back of the carrier sheet so that when I put this back together, I never inadvertently I'll put CC for Club Couture. I never inadvertently stick the dull side of the carrier sheet to the adhesive part of the transfer, because then it would stick to it, and we don't want that. Our transfers are reusable 8 to 12 times or more. They can be used on wood, chalkboard, dry erase board, glass, mirror, metal, fabric, just about anything you could think of, you can use our transfers on. If you want it to be temporary, go with our chalk paste, especially if you're using mirror, glass, metal, chalkboard, or dry erase board. Just spritz it with water to remove the image and use the surface again. If you're going on wood, wood is really more of a one-time use, because the chalk paste might actually absorb into the wood the pigmentation, and you know, the wood will pick up the pigmentation from the chalk paste. If that happens, paint over it or sand it. So in reality, you could use the wood again. It's just not as easy as when you do it on chalkboard or whatever, where you could just spritz it with water and erase. So because this is adhesive, what I'm doing is I'm doing what's called fuzzing. I'm deliberately applying a little bit of lint to the back of this transfer so that it's not as sticky. And I'm going to do something a little bit unusual with this. I'm going to grab that carrier sheet. I'm going to put it on part of it, because I'm only going to use part of this transfer at a time. So I'm going to put this back down, obviously glossy side on the adhesive side, so that I don't get it to stick to anything else as I go along. And here I've got it stuck the wrong way. You always want to put your transfer sheet onto the carrier sheet onto the transfer, not the transfer onto the carrier sheet, because this is sticky and it's a little bit harder to handle. So this is what I'm going to use as a surface. Just remember which one I've got where. Okay. I have previously waxed these. They're a found surface. They're advertised as chalkboard, but I really think they're more painted. And because it's painted wood, I waxed them to make sure that I don't have any issues when I lift up the transfer. Hi, Brenda. When I lift up the transfer, I don't want to pull up any paint or anything, just in case. I once had a found surface that I did not wax. It was supposed to be chalkboard, and it really wasn't. And when I lifted the transfer pulled up the black paint. So I don't want to do that. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just placing this on my surface. And make sure it's straight. Make sure I don't have any air bubble underneath. Kind of looking at the positioning. I'm going to do white for my letters, red for my hearts. So let's get started. You don't have to press down hard to get the paste to go through the silkscreen. Just a somewhat gentle pressure works fine. And when I put the silkscreen down on the surface, I don't press down either. I press down hard. I press down gently, and then I go around with my fingers and feel for any air bubbles or anything under the silkscreen. Because we definitely do not want an air bubble, because then the paste doesn't go through the transfer evenly. I'm going to grab a little bit more paste. I just need a dab more here. Get rid of any lines. Pick up the excess, clean that up, put any excess back in the jar. It's as simple as that. And seriously, I know I say it's as easy as buttering toast, but isn't it? I'm going to grab a little bit of red and basically do the same thing. And what I should do every time when I open up a jar of paste is stir it and look at in my haste. I forgot to do that. You always want to stir your paste to make sure that it's the appropriate consistency. Just make sure it hasn't thickened up on you. If it has, then you want to dilute it a little bit with distilled water. Always use distilled water for thinning out your paste, because you don't want any issues with the minerals in your water, in your tap water, interfering with the paste pigmentation. That could be a little bit of an issue. Okay, so I'm going to lift this up, take a look at it, make sure it's looking good. This looks pretty good. How sweet is that? So I'm going to put this aside to dry. And I'm going to grab another arrow. Which I've also waxed, just used our surface wax. Oh, I can't get the container out of here. Here it is. Our surface wax. And it's unscented, and I absolutely love it because it's unscented. Now I'm going to lift this transfer off, and lift the carrier sheet off and scoot it down a little bit to the next area I want to chalk. And this might be a little tricky for me here. Okay, I'm gonna have to be careful when I do this that I don't go over an area that I don't want to paste. And it's a little trickier because it's a little tough for me to line it up. This is when a light table really comes in handy, I have to admit. It's the arrow. Okay, this looks good. This is lined here like the same length for all the letters, so I think I'm fine. And just have two little red spots here, and the rest is going to be white. So back to my white paste. And I'm going to hold my finger down here, so I hold things in place because my surface is a little small and I don't want it scooting away from me as I chalk. It's one thing if you're using a large frame, it just holds, it stays in place for you. But sometimes, especially when I'm in a hurry and applying the paste quickly, my surface might move away from me, and I don't want that happening with this. And I want to make sure I get up at the top of that line, get my little dots there. A little more paste. A little paste truly goes a long way. And just remember, you could always put your excess paste back in the jar, so no problem with that. The paste packets that come with Club Couture are more than enough to do the project 2 times or more. Just be careful if you're not using it all at one time. When you take the paste out of the packet, use a stir stick. It makes it much easier to dig in there and get what you need. And then when you're done with it, roll the packet up nice and tight, push the paste down, roll the packet up, and seal it with some washi tape or a clip or even painter's tape or packing tape, I would say would be fine. You want to seal it, protect it from any air, so that it doesn't dry out, and then it's available for when you need to use it next. Okay, let me just get this heart, this little teeny heart up here, a little bit close to the white. Hopefully I didn't run in there. Oops, I've got a little line. Now if I make a mistake, worst comes to worst, I could clean off my surface, or I'm sorry, clean my transfer and just reapply it. Line it up and do anything that I missed. But this looks pretty good to me. Just need to pick it up somewhere without getting my fingers into the chalk paste. Doesn't that look nice? So nice and crisp. Oops. So I'm going to set this aside to dry. and go on to the last portion. And yes, I know I have little holes in here to hang this, these arrows. I was actually going to putty them up and I didn't, but I will find something to camouflage them. Okay, so I'm going to take my carrier sheet off of my transfer so that I could do the last portion. And just get this positioned correctly. Oops, let me get this out of the way. There we go. Notice that I alternated the arrows. The top was pointing to the right, the bottom was pointing, the bottom's pointing to the right, and the middle is going to be pointing to the left. So I just want to line this up. Make sure I have it straight. I am not going to do the name at the bottom. I'm going to have to move this down. I probably won't be able to fit the dots on there either. Just trying to see where my top is. Oh, that'll work. So I can get the dots. I'm just basically going to leave off the author's name then. And being that I'm aligning it on the left side here, I know that my bottom is even because this left side has aligned. So I'm feeling around, making sure no air bubbles under the silk screen. And that's it. And there's no red on this, so let me get my ribbon out of the way. So this is all going to be in the white. White squeegee. I know it's here somewhere. Let me cover up my red so I don't get myself in trouble. Yeah. With the paste on my fingers. Okay, let me clean the paste off so that I could do this justice. Our chalk paste is water soluble, so cleanup is easy, simple, and our transfers are reusable 8 to 12 times or more with proper care. And proper care basically just means getting the paste out of the silk screen, letting your transfer dry, and then putting it back on it, or putting the carrier sheet back on it, and doing whatever you want to do to store it. I store my transfers, I put them back in their little cellophane envelope, and I store them in an armoire, sorted by size. We have 5 different sizes, and our transfers are numbered or lettered A through E, A being the smallest size of 5 by 7, and the E being the largest, which is, I'm thinking 18 by 24. So there's a size that fits everyone. And some of our larger transfers come in multiple pieces, so it's not necessarily one whole image that's that large, but we do have some that are. Okay, I'm going to do my dots here. I'm just going through cleaning up my lines. And then I'm going to come across here and do my dots. Was afraid they wouldn't fit, but this looks pretty good. I actually checked this out a couple weeks ago, and I thought I had everything good to go, and then I had to keep waiting for the ladder to show up. Oops, I got one little dot there. There we go. Okay, make sure I've got everything nice and clean and smooth. The top of my letters, I'm notorious for missing the tops because I don't have my overhead light on, so I can't really see as good. It casts too many shadows, so I think that's good. Put the paste back in the jar. The hint, get a small rubber band and put it across the top of your jar, so when you scrape off your squeegee, your paste goes into the center instead of around the edge of your jar where it would dry out. I went searching for some small rubber bands today, and the ones I have are actually too small. I bought them, I think, for gnome noses. So I have either too big or too small. So I'm going to lift from the top and pull this down and take a look at it. I've got a little smudge of chalk on here that I'm going to clean up. That looks really good. So let me clean up that little smudge, clean my surface, and I'll clean my transfer. while this dries. I'm just going to wipe off that chalk paste while it's still liquid. If it had dried, I would just do it with a damp paper towel. Okay, I'm going to set this aside to dry and clean up my transfer. I'll show you how to do it as soon as I clean off my surface a little bit here. Get some of my excess paste off of this mat. Clean my transfer. Now, ideally, I would take my transfer over to the sink and run it under water and use a board eraser. A little board eraser here. Kind of well used, to say the least. But because I can't do that, I'm going to clean it on my surface. Or you could put it actually in a little water bath. It works great. Before I put this down on the surface, our transfers will not stick to our mat. But occasionally I switch and I use a glass mat. So I'm just in the habit of spraying the adhesive side with water just in case I forget and do it on my glass mat. I don't want it sticking. So I'm spraying the top now. And I'm using distilled water, but you could use tap water for this. It wouldn't matter. It's just handy. It's in my bottle. Then I'm taking my board eraser, which is great for taking chalk paste or ghosting off of your chalkboards. But I'm going to also use it on my transfer to remove the paste. And this really works really nice in a sink. Oops, this board eraser's getting a little crumbly on me. I actually meant to toss it. Let me go grab another board eraser and I will be right back. Our board erasers come 2 in a package, and I always like to have some extras laying around. So I'm going to just wet the board eraser and get this cleaned up. Now, our deeper pigmented paste will do some staining of your transfer, but it does not impact the usability at all. It just discolors the teal or the vinyl portion a little bit. The board eraser basically diminishes that staining, but if you do get staining, don't worry about it. It does not impact the excuse me, the usability at all. Tickle in my throat. Okay, this isn't the best cleaning. Obviously, I'm doing it at my surface. Now I'm going to use a disinfecting wipe to clean up more of it. It's a little bit messy with this much paste on it, and especially, oops, with the red. So I'll make sure I get this cleaned very, very well. But I wanted to get most of it off with the board eraser. Like I said, our chalk paste is water soluble, so it really makes cleanup pretty easy. I'm going to flip it over and clean the back, and then I'll go back and look at the front again. Let me get the paste out of the back. And see, there is some staining of the silk screen. Our transfers have silk screen through the entire transfer. It's not in just one area. So if you're familiar or used to using stencils and you've had issues with stencils bleeding, or you don't get the clarity that you'd really like, our transfer solved that issue. And like I said, you can use it on many different surfaces. If you want to be able to erase it and use the surface later, go with our chalk paste. If you want it to be permanent, say you're doing it on fabric or on ceramics, use our ink, and all you have to do is heat set it. I'm going to flip it over, take a look at the front. If you're ever unsure, you could actually put it up to the light and make sure that you have all your chalk paste out of it. And then once I get all my paste out of my transfer, what I like to do when I'm done cleaning the paste off, I want to remove the lint that I deliberately applied. And I do that just with a disinfecting wipe, and I go in one direction, and the lint will actually lift off. You can see the little teal fibers on here a little bit. And this renews the adhesiveness for the next use. And then I'm going to show you a little bit trick to making your transfer even more sticky. This helps it dry quicker and actually amplifies the adhesiveness a bit. Our fuzzing cloths have two sides. One is a terry cloth, the other is like a microfiber. I take the clean transfer, put it sticky side up on the microfiber, fold it over, gently squeeze out the moisture. This will help it dry quicker. And when it dries, it'll be stickier than it would have been otherwise. So I'm going to set this aside to dry. Running out of flat surface around here. Okay. I just set that right down on my wet sign. Okay. I think my sign is dry. Our paste goes on liquid, but will dry to a hard finish. For our regular paste colors, figure about 5 minutes. If you're using our shimmers, figure about 8 minutes to dry. And the board eraser is reusable. A lot of times I cut my board eraser into smaller pieces and just use a little bit at a time. It really could go either way with that. Let me get my squeegee out of here, clean up a little bit more, because then I'm getting on to the fun part. I'm going to create that other bow and attach all this to the ladder for our finished look. Let me just put this arrow up here out of the way. Get that out of the way. Okay. Okay, so for the bow, all I did was create a messy bow. And I've cut different types of ribbon to 10 inches long. I did some buffalo check. And actually, before I assemble this, I am going to dovetail the ends because I find it easier to dovetail before I actually attach it. So that's why I'm doing it. Oh, and there went a glue stick right on the floor. And then I've got some burlap. All my ribbon except the one on top is wire edged, but my buffalo check, the wire is very kind of flimsy with it. So I'm doing double pieces of my buffalo check just to make them stand out a little bit more. All the rest of them, I'm just using 2 pieces of buffalo check. I'm going with 4. So just dovetailing my edges. Let other 2 pieces of buffalo check here. Messy bows are so easy to do. They work well with different colors, different textures, but the main thing I found is it really helps to have wired edge ribbon to get them, to form them into the shape that you really want them in. Otherwise, they get a little bit too limp. Now, this has no wire rim, but I needed something a little bit smaller, and I thought it went well together. And then I think my favorite is the heart on the burlap. I just think that's so pretty. And so appropriate for the wording on this transfer. And by doing this before I assemble it, I'm actually able to dovetail 2 pieces of ribbon at a time. So that makes it a little bit quicker in assembling this thing. Okay, so let's get to work putting this together. I'm going to crisscross my ribbons a bit, and I'm putting the 4 buffalo check on the bottom because I wanted to coordinate with my black chalkboards, but I don't want it to overpower anything. Whoops, let's keep things turning on me. Let's kind of get that straightened out. And you can massage and move this around as you want, as you put it, after you put it together. And then I'm coming up with my burlap here. Oh, maybe I want to put this at a little bit more of an angle. Oops. Kind of getting stuck to everything. And then my hearts. And then these little, I thought I had 2 pieces of this. Okay, let's see, where did it go? I'm looking for the spool and all my little stash over here. I don't know, do you think the bow should be identical, or do you think I could get by with putting something a little bit different on the second bow? Maybe I should make it look a little bit different, being that I don't know what I did with that other piece. Oops, I haven't opened that up yet. A lot of different components tonight. What could I say? Oh, that's funny. I can't find that spool of ribbon. Okay, there's all my chalkboards. Ooh, I wonder. No, that's a little bit too much right on top of the hearts. I don't want that. Oh, here it is. Slid in underneath my little, I have a little stand there. Okay, so these are kind of small. I cut these instead of 10 inches, I cut them 8 inches so they'd stand out. I'm going to dovetail them. They're a little tiny and narrow to do this with, but I think I could do it. Oops. There we go. Okay, so let me add the last 2 pieces of ribbon. And you just want to spread things out, crisscross them a little bit. And then you want to scrunch them up in the middle. Don't worry, we're going to fix things when we're all done getting it scrunched together here. And I am going to use a zip tie. If I can remember how these go, I want the smooth side outwards. Okay, so I'm going to put it over the front, pull it around the back. And just feed it through. Oops. This is a real springy zip tie. I had a problem with the other ones. It felt like I needed a third hand or something here. Probably not the same quality as I could have gotten them somewhere else. What could I say? Oh, let's say I'm doing this the right way. It's not, it's stuck. Did I put it together? Yeah, I've got it together right. I just don't have the hand pressure. Go figure. There we go. What I really need is a pliers. I used to have pliers in the drawer right by me all the time, and I don't right now. Wow, this one's a challenge. And get them all flattened down. Got it in the middle. Whoa. Okay, just gonna give it a good tug. And then I'll worry about putting everything back together the way it's supposed to look. Okay, we've got a little shifting in here, but we'll work with it, right? Things shifted a little bit down the side. Hey, it might look better this way. Actually, I kind of like it with the red on top, the red hearts on top more so. So I'm just gonna pull, tug, flip it around a little bit, form my ribbon with the wire edges. I wanted more of the buffalo check showing anyway, so I kind of actually like that look. My brown, I'm not really too happy with how they turned out, but actually I think I don't like it on top. I think it diminished it having it on top, so maybe where it is right now, kind of hidden is good. Get some more of my buffalo check down here. And of course, I'm going to cut my zip tie off. Kind of turn that around a little bit to get it to the back and cut it off. Who knew I was going to have to do battle with ribbons, right? I might pull this burlap off. I'm not sure if I like it or not. It doesn't seem to me like it's really adding anything to it, but whatever. We'll see. Okay, and then in the middle, I'm going to put a little loop of the heart ribbon. It needs a little bit more fluffing and folding, but I don't want to waste a lot of time with that. Kind of boring to watch somebody fluff and fold a ribbon, right? So I'll scrunch this up a little bit. Put it around it. I'm coming into the back with my glue gun, putting a nice dab of glue. I'm going to take and put this ribbon over it for a moment, let it dry, and I just stuck my finger right in there, which I didn't mean to do. That's hot. I was actually meandering over here for a stick to hold it in place for a minute. Whoops. Actually, our squeegees work great because they're made out of silicone, so they don't melt or anything, and they're great for holding it in place. Probably should just, if I had cleaned my squeegee, could actually just use that. right? Okay, so another dollop of glue. Pull this in over and hold it in place. And I want to make sure that it dries before I start playing around with my bow a little bit, and I don't want to flip it over and have it stuck to my mat either. So let me set that aside to dry, clean off my surface a little bit. I could do a little fluffing of that after I get my ladder all done and assembled. Hey, finally, right? Let me get rid of all my little ribbon scraps. Okay. Okay, so here we go. I need a little bit more room than I actually have here. I'm going to get both my ribbons. I'm going to put aside somewhere. And get rid of that paste so I've got more room to work here. And this is what I'm thinking. Oops, I've got a little paste smeared that I have to clean up on that one, but I could do it. Kind of, oops, center them here. And then I'll have my little ribbons. What do you think? A little bit different of a spin. Let me start hot gluing this in place. A dollop there. A big dollop here. I want to put this right, oops, hot glue. I just stuck my finger right into it. I want it up to the edge, which I can't really see. I think that's okay. This one I shouldn't have an issue with. And I see I've got a little glue thread there. Let me get rid of that one. Okay. A little more fluffing and folding here. Really, the ribbon, the wire edge ribbon makes it so easy to form it into the look that you want. And I'll continue adjusting that after it's dry. And obviously this one needs its little fluffing and folding too. Okay. I'm having a hard time getting it to fit all on camera. Let me see if I lift it up. I know I haven't let this dry enough. Whoops, there goes the glue gun. And there you have it, a little bit of spin, a different of a spin on January's Club Couture. Like I said, Club Couture is our $19.99 monthly subscription package. Comes straight to your door. You get the chalk paste off. We pay for shipping, so it's $19.99 plus taxes. It comes with a B-size transfer, 3 specifically curated, color-coordinated transfers to go with the 3 color-coordinated pastes to go with the transfers. Comes with a PDF of full instructions along with a link to a video. So if you're happier watching a video than reading the PDF, you can obviously do that. And give yourself an hour of creative bliss once a month. Make it for yourself, make it for someone else. Have fun. Thank you very much, Brenda. It really is, don't we all deserve kind of that escape, that Calgon take me away type of thing, where we deserve that time to make for ourselves, for our creativity? Too often we get caught up in the hustle and bustle of everything and forget to take care of ourselves. Take care of yourself, relax, do something creative, do something good for you. Enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.